Brave the Dark, which is based on a true story, just dropped in theaters. Was it good? I'll let you know. Hi everyone, my name is Bob and welcome to Was It Good, where I give you my movie and TV show reviews. And today we're going to be talking about the new film from Angel Studios, Brave the Dark, which is based on a true story. Now, before I get into the review, I do want to let you know that this is going to be spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't need to worry about any spoilers. Now, if you have seen it, I'd like to know what you thought. Why don't you go ahead and share your comments in the comment section below? Let me know. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of the message that's being presented here? Did you find the story to be authentic? I'd really like to know what you thought. As always, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Now let's get to it. When Mr. Dean discovers one of his students, Nate, has been living out of his car and thrown into jail, he decides to bail him out. Determined to curb Nate's self-destructive behavior, Mr. Dean quickly discovers a host of dark secrets that are slowly tearing Nate apart. What started out as a good deed becomes a desperate fight to save Nate from his own demons. As Nate spirals deeper into despair, Mr. Dean must decide how far he's willing to go to save a kid on the brink of losing everything, including himself. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this film is based on a true story and it was released by Angel Studios. And I think Angel Studios, for the most part, has done a pretty good job as a faith-based studio to release films that do not compromise their message, but still tell an engaging story. So I saw the preview for this one and I thought that it looked like it could be something that would interest me. So I went ahead and checked it out. And now here's what I thought. First off, I felt that this really was a very engaging story. It drew me right in from the start, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that at the heart of this story, you've got this teacher who's trying to help this student overcome the consequences of his decisions. And that actually reminded me of several teachers that I had growing up who you would see reach out to certain students who needed that extra assistance. And so I really appreciated that because I recognized some of my own teachers in Mr. Dean. And then the story itself deals with some very real trauma that Nate experienced as a child. And that comes out throughout the course of the movie. And there are certain decisions that Nate makes because of that trauma. And I thought that it was very important that the film touches on that. And I appreciated that Angel Studios actually had the courage to do so, because very often faith-based studios will only touch on the happy-go-lucky things, but this one actually touched on some very dark subject matter and stuff that was very real, and that drew me right into the story. So overall, this was a very engaging narrative. Next, I think the film has a very important message. This idea of reaching out to those in need when they need assistance and taking a shot on them. Because you see Mr. Dean being willing to take a shot on Nate when nobody else would. And I think that that's very important. This idea of giving somebody another opportunity. And at the same time, Nate was also willing to accept that help. And so I thought it was a very important message that came across, and never at any time did it come off as over preachy. Also, I think that the characters feel very authentic, and a lot of that has to do with the way that the dialogue is written. Often, when you have a film from a faith based studio, you get dialogue that is very cheesy and it doesn't feel like the characters are real characters because of the way that they're saying things. But here, the dialogue feels very real and it feels like real people saying real things. There's even a couple of swear words here and there, which feels very authentic. Again, this is not something you see usually from a faith-based studio, but to actually have it in there makes the characters feel very authentic given the situations that they're dealing with. Finally, I want to touch on the acting, which I thought was pretty good throughout the film. Now, there are a couple of moments where I think it falls a little flat, but most of it I think is pretty good. Nicholas Hamilton plays Nate, and I thought that he was good for most of the film. Again, there's a couple of moments where I think he falls a little flat, but during those emotional sequences, he really brought it, and those really touched me. Jared Harris plays Mr. Dean, and I thought he was really good. As I said, he reminded me of a lot of teachers that I knew growing up. And so I really saw those teachers in this character. I thought he had a real heart for students and he was very believable in the role. So overall, the acting I really enjoyed in the movie. Now, there are a couple things I want to mention here. And first off, there are a couple story elements I would have liked to have seen explored a little bit more. Nothing that really took away from the movie, but just some elements I would have liked to have seen them dive deeper into, because I think there was a little bit more there that I wanted to know about. Also, the big thing is that even though this is a movie from a faith-based studio, this is not a very family-friendly movie. There's some very mature subject matter here and some choices that you see characters make that is very mature here. So if you have small kids, this is definitely not a movie for them. Real quick, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to go ahead and remind you to go ahead and check out the other videos on my channel. Maybe I've reviewed something that you're interested in seeing, or something that you've seen already and you'd like to let me know what you thought about it. Also, for those that are interested, I do have another channel with a couple of my friends where we put on a show called Dad's Turn to Talk. This is an opportunity for three dads to get together and talk about the things that we want to talk about, including movies, sports, pop culture, and have a little bit of fun at each other's expense. The link to that channel will be in the description below. Final thoughts. Was it good? I thought this was a very engaging, inspiring story. I liked seeing Nate overcome this deep rooted trauma and these issues that he had within his life. And I also enjoyed seeing Mr. Dean reaching out to him and helping him in his time of need. I thought the movie had a very important message and I really enjoyed it. If you like movies about people overcoming deep rooted trauma and issues and overcoming the obstacles, then I think that you're going to like it. If you don't like those types of stories, then this probably isn't for you. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.